Hey, once again, it's your boy, it's your friend, it's the credit doctor, Angelo McCutcheon, coming to you with another YouTube video on the credit repair process. First of all, I want to thank all of my credit repair followers, those of you who have been following, listening to our videos, and I know pretty soon you'll start commenting, and pretty soon you'll start coming into the chat room. And we're going to have some fun answering questions on how to improve your credit, how to fix your credit, all of that good stuff. But first of all, let me let you know that my name is Angelo McCutcheon, known as the Credit Doctor. I'm the founder and CEO of my company called the Faithful Credit Group, LLC. We've been helping people repair their credit for over 15 years. We also now in the area of helping people build business credit as well. And we do have a channel that talks about business credit as well. That'll be in the description after this video. You can find that in the description. All right, so we're glad to be able to bring you this information. It's all about helping you to understand that you do not have to live with bad credit. There is something absolutely you can do about it. You can clean up your credit on your own, or you can pay someone to help you or assist you in cleaning up the credit. That's up to you, but I tell everybody they can do it if they want to do it. They can clean it up on their own. You just need time and patience. You need a little education on how the process works, but if you're willing to put that time in, then you can clean up your credit yourself. For those of us who don't have the time, we have people like myself who help clean up your credit. We do offer a personal, free, over-the-phone consultation. Again, you can hit us in the description, and we'll be glad to set that up for you. Today, we're going to be talking about how to manage your credit cards. Now, obviously, when we break down the pie chart of how your credit score is evaluated, we know that 35%, or you may not know, some people may not know the pie chart, 35% of your credit score is based on on-time payments. If you're making your payments on time, that's a big boost in your credit score. If you're making late payments, it's also a big decrease in your credit score. Also, if 30% of your credit score is based on your credit utilization, and that comes down to your credit cards, and that's what we're going to talk about. So that's a big chunk, right? 35% is on-time payments. The next chunk of your credit score is your utilization, your credit card utilization, meaning that if you're using too much of your credit cards, by the time they report it to the credit bureaus, then it will hurt you. And usually that number is 30% of your credit score. If you're using too much of your credit cards, that is 30%. You're maxing out 30%. By the time they report it to the credit bureau, then you're going to take a big hit. But if you keep that number under 10% and lower, you will get an increase in your credit score. What you do have to understand is, in order to take advantage of that, you got to know a couple of things. Number one, when do the credit companies report my balance to the credit bureaus? Each credit card company is different, right? There's two things I usually tell people that you got to watch out for when you have credit cards. You got to know the due date, the minimum due date for your minimum payment. You want to know that, because if you miss that date and don't make it, you get a penalty for that, right? And then you got to know the statement date. The statement date is the day that they're going to report whatever balance you have to the credit bureaus. Usually that statement date is anywhere between 3 to 5 days, somewhere in that area, after your due date, after your minimum due date. It's usually 3 to 5 days, somewhere around there. But please check with your credit card company to find the exact date when they report to the credit bureaus. Once you establish that, once you know that, so let's now use some examples. So let's say your credit card company reports your balance on the 15th of every month, right? The 15th. So let's say you have let's just throw out a random number. Your credit limit is $1,000. Let's just say $1,000, whatever, right? So you know that from the 16th of each month, you can use the whole $1,000 if you want to, as long as you pay it down before the 15th of the next month, right? So when we talk about utilization, we're talking about having it paid down by the time they report it to the credit bureaus. So if you have $1,000 limit, so let's just say you use $900, and let's just say you paid $500. You pay $500 of that $1,000, right? So by the time the statement day come, you're gonna have your minimum payment due date, which is usually around $35, $40, $25, somewhere around there. And then 3 to 5 days, somewhere around there, I'm just using that number, becomes a statement date. So then if you don't pay the rest of the balance, they're gonna report the $500 to the credit bureau. Now, $500 basically means that you use more than half of your credit card. So that's a utilization of 50%, way over that number of 30%. So when it gets reported to the credit bureau that you use 50% of your credit, you're going to take a hit for that. Your score is going to go down for that. I mean, there's going to be other factors involved when you're looking at your credit score or your credit reports, but just I want to isolate this so you can understand this process. I do want to understand this process. If you guys have any questions, you can just type it in the comment, and we'll be glad to answer any questions that you might have. Type it in the chat. All right. But credit utilization is so important because so many people don't know how to manage their credit cards. They just think that, pay it, use it, as long as I pay it in full, then I'm okay. But see, what happens is, and this is what I find out a lot when I'm dealing with a lot of my clients and their credit cards. So let's just stick to that example that we just used. They have a credit limit of $1,000. They use $500 of it, right? And then it gets reported on the 15th to the credit bureaus. But on the 16th, they pay the whole $500 the day after, or 2 days after the 15th, or 3 days after. It doesn't matter, right? But the $500 balance had got reported to the credit bureaus already. So then they go and look at their credit score, and they'll be like, wait a minute, why did my score go down? I just paid off my credit card. Why did it go down? No, you paid it off the day after or the days after it got reported to the credit bureau, which means that now, if you don't use it no more, you'll get the next time it reports. If you don't use it again, it'll be a zero balance. And again, that will actually help your score the following month. That'll help your credit score. What we're trying to educate you guys is so you'll know that you can use as much as your credit card you want the day after your statement date, right? You can use the whole $1,000 if you want. Just make sure it's paid down or paid off, paid way down or paid off by the 15th of the next month. And again, we're just using the 15th as an example. When you call your credit card company, they will let you know what time of the month or what day of the month, what date of the month that they actually send your statement balance. It could be the 18th, it could be the 21st, it could be the 4th, it can be the 12th, right? But you want to know that. You want to know. So everybody who looks at this video, if you do not know when they report your balance to the credit bureaus, I want everyone to call their credit card company by tomorrow and just ask them, when do you report my balance to the credit bureau? That's a simple question. Just when do you report my balance to the credit bureau? They will tell you the 5th of each month, the 18th of each. They'll know that. So now that you have that armed, you say, okay, they reported the 15th of each month. Got to get it paid down by the 15th of each month. So on the 16th, I can use as much of it as I want to. I can use the whole thing if I want to, as long as it is paid down by the 15th of the next month. So when we're talking about credit utilization, we're talking about making sure by the time they report it to the credit bureau, you have the balances paid down so low to it looks like you're only using 2% or 3% of your credit. Now, the credit card companies themselves will know that you're constantly using it, and that's a good thing because that's how you get increases in your with your limit, right? As long as you're using your credit cards, and the more you use it close to the credit limit, the more they are inclined to give you an increase in your limit. So if you have $1,000 limit and you've been using 800, 900 consistently, but paying it down before they report it, they will increase it to maybe $3,000, because they see that you're using it, right? And you're paying it off. Two things: you're using it and you're paying it off. That will get you an increase, right? And your credit, without you even asking them, they will give you an increase. And most credit cards, again, every credit card is different. Some will just evaluate it. Some you would have to call, but in most cases, they will just automatically give you an increase if they see you're using it to the max or close to the max, and you're paying it off each month or paying it down each month. I always have to pay it off, but you're paying it down under that 30%. When it gets reported, it's under 30% utilization, under 20%. I always tell people, get it under 10%. That's the best way to manage it. Get it under 10%. All right. So there's two dates you got to know. Again, let me reiterate, two dates you want to know when it comes to credit card debt. You want to know what date do I have to pay the minimum? What's my minimum reporting date? The minimum bound, minimum, the $25, $35 they want me to pay each month as the minimum due date. And then I need to know the statement date, when they're going to report whatever balance I have to the credit bureaus. Once I have those two dates in hand, now I'm in control of how my credit score is going to take a hit, or I'm in control of how it's going to get increases. Because now I have those two dates in mind, in hand. I know I can make my minimum payment on, let's just say, the 8th of each month, and then I can just make sure it's paid down all the way down, if not paid off, by the 15th of each month. And then on the 16th to 17th, I can use the whole $1,000 if I want. Or I can use 500. I can use 200. I can max it out, as long as by the next month I make my minimum due payment, which is like $25, $35. But normally I'm gonna pay more than that on the minimum, for the minimum, and then I'm gonna have it paid down, as low as possible by the 15th of the following month. And so that's what we're talking about. If you're able to do that, and all other factors are equal, you're making on-time payments, right? You don't have negative items on your credit report, or you're getting negative items deleted. Guess what? That credit card utilization, keeping that low, is going to help increase your credit score. Now, you can get increases from 20 points to 50 to 75 points just managing your credit card debt correctly. Just managing that, just knowing those two dates and using them to your advantage, you can get anywhere from 50 to 100 points increase on your credit. Just that simple. All right. So again, as we close this up, we just want you to know, when it comes to your utilization, know the due date, minimum due date amount, and know the statement date. Get those two in hand. I'm telling you, it's a game changer, because then you're able, if you're financially responsible and paying your debts, listen, you can max out your cards if you want. Just have it paid down before the statement date of the next month. That's all that means. Now, I'm not advocating you to max out your cards. It all depends on how you are with your spending habits and your paying habits. But what I am saying is that this is what you can do if you want to, after the statement date, right? So even if you had a balance of $10,000 and the statement date was on the 15th still, let's say the 18th, on the 19th, you can use the whole 10,000 if you want. I'm not saying do that, but I'm just making a point here that you can use the whole 10,000. Just make sure you're responsible enough to pay it down by the 18th of the next month, before the 18th of the next month. That's all I'm saying. So a lot of people say, credit utilization is not important. It's very important. But when we talk about credit utilization, we're talking about when it gets, what type of balance you have when it gets reported to the credit bureaus. And if you don't know when it gets reported, pick up that phone and call them up. You can usually find it on your credit card statement as well. But if for some reason you can't find it there, pick up the phone, call them up. They will give you that information. And then from there, it's a game changer, right? And so when we talk about credit card limits, and again, the more credit cards you have, now typically you don't want to have, I know people who've had 10 to 15 credit cards and literally just fell off the map because they couldn't manage too many credit cards for them, right? 3 to 5 credit cards is really good avenue to have, because you want to have more than one. I would say 2, 3 max, right? And then top it off maybe 5, 6, depending on your managing skills, your financial responsibility skills. Then that determines whether you should have more or not. All right. Because if you know how to manage it and use it, and you have the finances to pay it, right? Because there's one thing to get a credit card, but you got to make sure that when you use it, you have the income or you have the money in the bank to pay whatever you use. Now, you want to use credit cards, right? You don't want to be paying cash for everything, because in particular, if you're concerned about your credit, right? Your credit score, then you need to manage, you have credit cards, right? Because that helps build up your credit score, right? We told you 35% on-time payments, another 30%, the bulk of it is how you manage your credit cards. And then you have length of credit, 15%. You have a mix of credit, 10%. And then you have a new credit, it's another 10%. All right. So that breaks that down on a pie chart. Right. So again, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Hit that like and share button. Make sure you subscribe. Hit the subscribe button so every time I go live, you'll get more of these credit tips on how to repair your credit. We'll be bringing on guests as well, and other people who have seen their scores go from the 400, 500, and now in the 700s, some even in the 800s. So we just want to encourage you to follow us so you can get the information. It's about giving you information on how you can increase your credit score. Because as I always say, you do not have to live with bad credit. And you can follow me also on my podcast. I have a podcast that I do, over 40 episodes already in the podcast. You can find me on any Spotify, iTunes. Just look up the Credit Repair Show. And I'll come up on there. So you can listen to my podcasts on there. You can follow me on Facebook. It'll be in the description. You can follow me on Instagram. All that'll be in the description. So I appreciate you guys. Whatever you do, hit the like and hit the share button and hit the subscribe button for me. Please, we want to start getting more and more subscribers here who are constantly coming on when we come on, so that they can actually flow with us when it comes to this credit information. And with that in mind, you guys have a blessed day. I appreciate you hanging in there with us. Stay blessed. Whatever you do, stay blessed. But what's even more important is that you are a blessing. And with that,